Hey folks, it's Real Honesty with Jarmithlin. I'm Jarmithlin, and this is a new series I'm going to be doing occasional Raw and Smackdown retro reviews. And pretty much the reason I'm going to be doing this, there's been a lot of really pivotal moments in Raw and SmackDown from over the years, not so much maybe the past few years since the TV product's been overexposed and gone crazy, especially since the network started. Even though I love the network, it's kind of dumbed down the TV product. Anyway, looking back on stuff that happened a number of years ago, like today, I'm going to, and this will go up later in the week, so the dates may not quite match up, but I'm going to be doing occasional ones. And I'm going to be doing a 15-year reflection on the July 1st, 2002 edition of Raw, where Undertaker and Jeff Hardy had one hell of a ladder match for the Undisputed Championship. But there was also other stuff on it. And I wrote some notes down because I didn't want to forget some stuff, and I didn't want to just look up on my tablet and look up notes on there. So I hope you guys enjoy these reviews. And I'm not saying this is always going to happen. I'm going to start a new playlist. It's going to be Retro Raw and Retro Raw SmackDown reviews. Because basically I just want to see if you guys enjoy these. And I hope you do. And I want you guys to let me know which episodes you maybe would like me to cover. And it's not just going to be WWE. I may start doing retro Nitro reviews and stuff like that. I mean, they may be spaced all over the place. But anyway, long introduction. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go. And so these may be a little shorter because we're for 2-hour editions of Raw. And I might go over a little bit of the storylines. But other than that, I'll just go over the match results and just here we go. Anyway, so starts off with Heyman and Brock Lesnar. And Heyman hyping up Brock Lesnar. It seems weird that nothing has changed in 15 years. Joking. This is when Brock was a fresh young talent, fresh young heel. He had just recently beat RVD in the King of the Ring finals just a week before. And they were still going with that feud, and they were going to go with that feud into Vengeance. And I will actually be reviewing Vengeance 2002 and putting the review up on this channel the day of. So it would be July 21st of this month. So look for that. As that pay-per-view it wasn't the greatest, but it had a really full card, and the main event in particular was just spectacular. But Heyman called out like Kurt Angle for calling out John Cena the week before, and this was the Raw right after John Cena's debut when he took Kurt Angle to the limit. And Heyman said, hey, Brock can do one better, and Brock can beat Kurt Angle and this kind of stuff. And by the way, I just want to point out, if you guys hear fireworks, I live on Indian reservation land, and people launch fireworks year-round here. So that's just what it is. But people just don't give a shit out here. So anyway, Heyman says Brock's going to do one better and challenge any veteran in the back. And who will answer this challenge? And Flair answers the challenge. The reason Flair answered this challenge is the week before, Brock had, well, it's like recently actually. I mean, it might not have been the week before, but it was very recently that Brock had interfered in a match between Flair and Vince, and which was for ownership of the company, and caused Flair to lose. So Flair now, instead of being part owner of WWE, was just a wrestler. And it sort of worked out better. I mean, that was sort of a better idea. But Flair and Lesnar had a good little match. I mean, Flair, even at this stage of his career, was in 2002, was able to still do really, really well. And, made Lesnar look dominant. Hit some pretty good trademark Flair stuff, the chops, the low blows behind the referee's back. And, of course, Lesnar got the win, as he was going to get the win. There was no way Flair was going to beat him. But it was a nice little match to start out. And then you have Molly Holly and Jackie Gaeta do a brawl from backstage into the arena. And the reason is because Molly Holly and Jackie Gaeta had lost a tag team match the week before, where Molly had gotten pinned. And they were going through the phase of kind of shaming Molly for her big ass, essentially. I mean, just say, I thought Molly was decently attractive. I mean, I'm not saying she was the hottest thing ever, but I don't really get why people were shaming her. But then again, this is Vince, and Vince shames everybody, including himself and including JR in a colonoscopy thing. No, I will not. I don't think I'm going to review that episode. But they brawled outside. They brawled, in the backstage, out into the ring. And Molly Holly ended up hitting a single leg missile drop kick because, I mean, she should have hit both feet, but she had one foot. But Jackie was still very young in the business. Was never really a great wrestler, though her and Charlie Haas seemed happy together. And Trish attacks Molly Holly because Trish and Molly had been feuding. And then Molly gets disrobed or gets pantsed, and the whole granny panties thing, this kind of stuff. It's like, God, who cares? I mean, this is the kind of stuff where it's like, even if I was 21 at the time, I'm just like, starting to get a little annoyed with the shaming of the women here. I mean, Trish and Molly were two really accomplished wrestlers. They really learned their craft well and could have done a lot better than this. Still, this would lead to matches down the road. Then you have Christopher Nowitzki. Remember him? The guy that goes after, does concussion research and this kind of stuff, has a foundation. I forget what the institute is exactly called. But he had a short-lived career. I think it was only like maybe a year and a half. Then he had post-concussion issues, and he quit, and he's worked with WWE to, get head trauma and get, health, and, help with the health of wrestlers and various talents and other companies also. So that's been great. And, of course, Nowitzki challenged Bradshaw, who was Texas Bradshaw, the hardcore champion at this time, to a straight-up wrestling match. Bradshaw didn't give a shit. He hit a boot right in the beginning of it, and then the match started. Nowitzki's down. Bradshaw throws weapons in the ring and everything, including his own bull rope and cowbell, and Nowitzki ends up, while the referee's trying to say to Bradshaw, it's not a hardcore match, turns around, Nowitzki hits him with a belt, 1, 2, 3. Shame Nowitzki did suffer the concussion, even though, in retrospect, with his education, he was able to do well for concussion research. It's almost a shame because I think he could have been a really effective heel in WWE. It's a good thing he didn't try to stay in wrestling despite, all the concussions. It was good that he got out when he did. But it did work out. It did work out pretty well, but I thought he could have been a pretty effective heel. And then they have Jeff Hardy with Terry Runnels backstage. Terry's the backstage announcer, or reviewer, or interviewer at this time, announcer, whatever she was. It was nice she stuck in the business for a while, but Jeff was like, how am I going to beat Undertaker? Can Undertaker do this? And he starts climbing on a whole bunch of shit because Jeff Hardy was, high and crazy. In retrospect, Jeff Hardy has taken, and I'm going to say this, even though I said some stuff about him in one of my least favorite wrestlers series, that was about mistakes he'd made. The man did give up his body, has given up his body a lot in the ring, and done a lot of good stuff. And yes, in retrospect, he regrets the choices that he made. So, okay. And the guy at this point was on a bit of a roll. I mean, getting a match against The Undertaker is a pretty big deal. So it was a nice backstage interview. Booker and Vader Dust, because it was Darth Vader, Goldust in a Darth Vader outfit. Booker touching Goldust's lightsaber. It sounds as dirty as it says, or as it seems. No, I'm just kidding. It was an actual plastic lightsaber. Then they were supposed to be a tag team match against Big Show and X-Pac. Well, then Goldust was taken out later. So Nash then at one point hits Goldust. Nash hits Goldust and does not tear his quad. And then X-Pac is laid out backstage later. So it's a singles match between Big Show and Booker T, which I'll get to in a minute. RVD wants to challenge Booker T, or challenge William Regal, that is. I'm getting thrown out by the fireworks, sorry. RVD wanted to challenge Brock Lesnar. But he'd already wrestled. Well, he challenged William Regal. And they always had nice little matches. It was good stuff. It was decent. It was the IC champion, RVD, against the European champion, William Regal, even though the European and Hardcore championships would be phased out very soon. I think by SummerSlam 2002, if not before. I know RVD and Jeff Hardy had a unification match with the European and IC title, which was a nice little match a couple weeks after this. But yeah, there was some really good wrestling on this. I mean, this was about as short as their WrestleMania 18 match, but which was still pretty nice. Then you go to Bubba and Spike Dudley versus Eddie and Chris Benoit. Benoit returned very recently from a neck injury, and it was nice that. It was a nice little tag match. They would have a better match at Vengeance 2002 a little bit later. Bubba and Spike won, but they didn't win the war. Benoit attacks Bubba. Spike Dudley goes to hit the Dudley Dog, the acid drop on Benoit through a table, and Benoit throws him off, and Spike just goes through a table on the outside. But it was a nice little tag team match. And then you have Booker versus Big Show. It was quick. Booker won by countout, and then Nash hits the ring, hits Big Show hits Nash back, and then of course Shawn Michaels is there. The NWO, it's horrible. Why was Shawn in the NWO was horrible. It's a horrible thing. I'm glad that Shawn got clean and got back, but this is just not a good use for him at all. Triple H then was going to be recruited to the NWO. That he was injured. He had a legit an elbow injury or an arm injury of some kind, and he was home recuperating. That would then lead us to Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, which was great. God, that was a great SummerSlam match. In fact, I will actually do one more Raw retro review later later this month about Bischoff's debut, which will actually be the July 15th edition in 2002. Which was tremendous. It was something I never thought I'd see. But yeah, you have that. So Booker wins. Booker and Big Show then gets super kicked, because Booker had been part of the NWO for a little bit. And then Shawn Michaels kicked him out, literally super kicking him. And then Taker versus Jeff Hardy. And it was a bit of a squash at first, because Jeff would hit some good moves, but then would just get beat down like right away. And Undertaker had never been in a ladder match, at least on TV or pay-per-view. Maybe he had on house shows. I don't know about that. I don't know all that history. But it was great. Jeff Hardy played the underdog perfectly. Taker taking him too lightly. Could have won the match very early on. Didn't. Wanted to punish Jeff. Told Vince McMahon, I'll make sure he can't even walk out of here. And it was great stuff. It was great stuff. Jeff almost having him beat. You know, at one point, JR saying, climb that ladder, kid. Make yourself famous. Climb your ass off. It's like, you know, get up that ladder. JR's coming down. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But Jeff Hardy really did well in that match. Him and Taker told a perfect story. It was perfectly done. Taker won, of course, and then beat down Jeff afterwards when Jeff would not stay down. And then Jeff's like shouting on a mic saying he's still standing, and Undertaker looks like he's going to beat him. He's going to hit him. And then he just drops, and he's just like looking just like, you know, he raises his hand, like pretty much like he earned his respect, basically. But just the look of, okay, you're nuts, but kudos to you. I mean, it was a really good edition of Raw. I mean, yes, okay, some of the stuff, it was bookended by great stuff, and there was some good stuff in the middle of it. I didn't care for everything, but the flow of the show was constant. Not the heavy flow of the show. It was constant. It was good, and it was enjoyable, and it was definitely a B+ episode. The ladder matches, a lot of 2002 Raw, and especially 2002 SmackDown was B to A every week. Not every angle clicked, but most of the talents felt important. So anyway, that's what I gotta say. That's a 15-year reflection on the July 1st, 2002 edition of Raw. What do you think? What are some of your favorite moments from that episode and from 2002 Raw? Like, share, comment, subscribe. My Twitter link's in the description. It's been Real Honesty with Jar Mifflin. I'm Jar Mifflin. I'll see you soon.